Zombie apocalypse.
Alright, so it's the Shaddoll Invoked, right?
Yeah, it's Shaddoll Invoked. So I was playing Trap Shaddoll before. But with VFD getting banned, like, and summoning Alistair just got infinitely better because summoning an Alistair didn't beat a VFD. You had to set trap cards to play around VFD, but now it's just like you can actually just be offensive and shit.
Cool. All right, let me go ahead and start it.
Yeah. Oh, you weren't recording. Oops.
I was recording, but I just wanted to talk to you real quick first. But all right, no, it's fine.
Okay. Oh no, I thought you were leading into the intro.
No.
It's Shaddoll Invoked. It's really similar to a list I saw Pac play at the 3v3 or the LCS rather, but he played Dogmatica cards. I don't own Nadir's, and every other Dogmatica card is like $100. So like I'm just not playing Dogmatica. So I played 2 Wendy, 2 Squamata, 1 Hedgehog, 1 Falco, 1 Beast, 1 Dragon, and 1 Aerial.
Okay.
You realistically you don't want to see a lot of Shadolls in your hand. Like drawing multiples of any Shaddoll is like really bad. But you play these because in multiples because this gets you to anyone you want. Gets you to anyone you want, but it also gets you to the spells and traps, like to the grave. That way you can like link them off or fuse them off to get into whatever spell you need.
And you've never
and
found
then
yourself
everything else is a 1 of utility.
You never find yourself missing either the second Aerial or third Wendy?
Aerial sometimes, but I side the second Aerial for like the trap decks and like Eldritch. And then the third Wendy, no. Because you basically have like 4 Wendy's in Squamata. So like if you draw a Squamata, it's like a Wendy. So instead of like, it's pretty much you just don't want to bring on too many Shaddoll monsters.
Okay.
And then we got, so the ratio from last format switched to 3 Shaddoll fusion, 1 L Shaddoll, because now your deck is more about breaking boards and grinding with them. And Shaddoll fusion is just like the best card this format. It's like with Drytron out of the way and no VFD, Shaddoll fusion gets really powerful, like against Dragon Link and against the mirror. It's really good against Zoo Eldritch too, because even if they Dryden pot themselves, they just kill their own Dryden, and you can probably still fuse anyway. You know, so it's like these cards are really good. And since you're not playing a lot of Shaddoll monsters, multiple L's don't really come up.
Okay.
And then 1 Resh Shaddoll and 1 Schism. This card's nuts because you literally every turn 1 that you draw Alistair with a fusion spell, you end on Gravity Controller, Mecha Ba with this, and it's usually a set Shaddoll. So it's like you have Winda if you need, you have an Aerial, you have MST. Like this card just does everything, and this is like a nice like recursion every turn. Just summon back a Construct, Foolish something, and or bring back App Cologne and start looping stuff. So that's it for the Shaddoll portion of the deck. Then the Invoked is pretty small as well. It's 3 Meltdown, 2 Alistair, and 2 Invocation. So I know what someone's gonna be like, why the fuck are you playing 2 Alistair in the Alistair deck? Drawing multiple Alistairs suck. Yeah, drawing a lot of Alistairs suck. Like when I played this deck last year, oh my shit just crashed. Hold up.
Yeah.
Second. Ew. Hold on, what the hell was that?
The Discord police.
All right, we're back.
Discord ambulance. There it is. Yay.
No, it was the droid cam police just being stupid. Yeah, so whenever you play this deck, like just drawing like multiple Alistairs is really bad because like the 1 Mecha Ball, while it's good, it can be very underwhelming at times. So it's like you want to be able to like this extra Alistair is like an extra Shaddoll name that you might want to see, or Prosperity. That's the other thing, we're playing Prosperity, so you don't want to like clump on too many cards. But the reason you play 3 Meltdown is because the best card in your deck. This card is insane. Because they can't negate stuff that says fusion summon, they can't respond. So if they have a Savage when you have Meltdown and they didn't negate the Meltdown, you can Shaddoll fusion, they can't respond. You can activate El Shaddoll, they can't respond. They can't respond to the they can't negate the effects of it. So they can Ash it, the Shaddoll fusion, true, but like they can't Savage it, they can't Judgment it, they can't
negate your fusion.
They can't hard negate it. Same thing with Schism too. Yeah.
Right.
So it's like all these cards are just like become so free with Meltdown, and it gets you to an Alistair. Yeah, so that's the Ouster engine. And then the honorary terraforming because it searches Meltdown. And Meltdowns, we've established that Meltdown's the best card in the deck. And then this replaces the Dogmatica cards. 3 Nadir, 3 Gamma, 1 Driver. If I played the Dogmatica cards, it would literally just be 3 Nadir, 2 Punishment, 1 Ecclesia, 1 Flirtily. But since I don't own Nadirs, I decided to play high impact light hand traps. This card's really good against Dragon Link. It's really good against just certain combo decks, and then Gamma just has impact against like everything. Like especially when you're playing a lot of spells that like you can just activate, like Shaddoll Fusion, Prosperity, Terraforming, Meltdown. Cards that prompt negation, you just chain Gamma, it's really good. And they're lights too, so you can make Mecha Bar Construct.
Okay.
And then 3 Super Poly because this card
of course
so free.
That's
if you're playing a fusion deck, you just really always play. And then 3 Prosperity. It's another digger. Like you get to just dig for whatever you need. You can dig for Super Poly, Cosmic Cyclone, which I mained. You can dig for Nibiru going first. You can dig for Shaddoll names. Like it literally just does whatever. And then post side, this card digs for Storm, digs for Duster, it digs for hand traps. This card just all in all just really good. Then the 3 Cosmic, because this deck has a tough trap matchup. Like Shaddoll in its history has always had a problem with control decks. So this gives you that edge game 1 that you normally just wouldn't have. And then 1 Mystic Mine, because any deck playing Terraforming, I feel like should just play 1 Mystic Mine. It's not like the win conditions, it's not like the end all be all of the deck, but it's just like I play 1 Terraforming. I just want to have like 1 Mystic Mine in my deck.
Any non-combo.
Yeah. And then when you and this is like a pseudo consistency card because it's like if you brick, you can just Mystic Mine them and then just like draw until you can like out it. And then 1 Cold Buy. 1 Cold Buy because it hits Shaddoll Fusion or it hits Ash on Shaddoll Fusion. That's the main deck. It is 40 cards, which for me is really weird. I like playing 41, but
I was gonna say play the upstart for consistency.
Yeah, I know, right? Nah, I don't want to play upstart because of Prosperity. It's like I didn't want anything to conflict. If anything, I might play either Magicalized Fusion or Foolish. Those are the only cards I can see because like sometimes you make Anaconda turn 1. Yeah, and then Foolish is just like a consistency. But if you start with Wendy, it's like if you start with Wendy, Hedgehog, or Squamata, then the 1 Foolish doesn't really matter. But yeah, anyway, then I play 3 Construct, 2 Winda, 2 App Clone. In playing the trap version, I realized how good this card is, especially with Meltdown where you can't respond. So you can Shaddoll Fuse from the deck, send everything, and then they can't respond to the effect negation. So whatever card you want to deal with, like if it's a monster, it's just gone. Winda's a really good floodgate monster, and Construct is literally just the best card in the deck. Then
no arguments there.
Then I play some of the actual invoked fusion monsters. So I play Kaliga, Raijin, Ogoides, and 2 Mechaba. I don't play Purgatrio because there was no main deck fire in my deck. So it was like I had to give up a slot from one of these utility cards for the Almirage and the Purgatrio. So it's like, why would I give up 2 spots in my deck for a card that I'm not going to make a lot of time? Like you can win games without the Purgatrio. Raijin is because you can make it against Bird Up, the Tri-Brigade Lyrillist deck, and it lets you out the Simorg Link, and then you can just Book of Moon the what's it called, the barrier statue, and then just play. And then but if you're not playing against that deck, it's literally just a card for Prosperity. Kaliga is another name. It's you can only activate 1 monster effect, so it's another like floodgate monster. Ogoides lets you go for game shots, and it lets you set up the banishing for Ariel, like the banish Shaddoll monster for Ariel, because you can just banish like a fusion monster. And then Mechaba is just like the best like invoked monster because it's a negate, but it's also a banish for a light. So when you play against outlets, you can like Super Poly the Golden Lord and then invocation summon a Mechaba by banishing their Golden Lord. It's just like you just like set yourself up for everything.
Right.
And then the only Link monsters I played were Artemis, Gravity Controller, and Verte Anaconda. So I really wish I had room for Cross Sheep and Boral Sword.
I was wondering why Cross
You
Sheep.
can win games with them.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's like, because, so the thing is, it was either gonna, in my original theory for the list, it was either Cross Sheep or Anaconda, but Anaconda lets you out Dragoon when you go second, because you can super poly a Dragoon and a Shaddoll monster into
Right.
a window with Verte. And like Cross Sheep, you already have to be playing the game to play with Cross Sheep, but like you can make an Anaconda and have an extra deck monster and just be like, all right, cool, Shaddoll Fusion. Or it lets you like fool or something. Like the fusion monsters I play here just give like so much more utility. Artemis, because you turn Alistair into a light, which is really good for the Shaddoll monsters, as well as just making Mechaba.
Right.
And Gravity Controller is for linking off your Shaddoll monsters. So that way you can like recur stuff and set everything up. Like, as weird as it might sound, I never missed those link monsters. Like in testing, I think the only one that's ever came up randomly was like Boral Sword.
Mhm.
But like, if you look at the setup, you need Boral Sword and a Cross Sheep. But like, it's the same thing as like the Almirage and Purgatrio thing, where it's just like you have to give up 2 slots, which mean you have to give up like an App Clone, which is a good utility card, a Construct, which is a good utility card, Raijin, which is a good utility card, and a Kliga, which is a good utility card. You know, so it's like I'm summoning the third, second, or one of these cards more than anything else. So why am I going to play the card that comes up sometimes that you don't need to win games?
Right. That's fair enough.
Yeah,
I mean, there's good logic
that was
behind
my
it.
logic. Yeah, and there's no Dragoon because again, it's like if it's not in my end one combo with Verte, like I'm just not going to do it because for me, there's no point to do it. Yeah, if
Right.
like you're adding 3 bricks to the deck, it's inconsistent to make turn 1. It's just like I think you don't need in this deck. I saw one list that from the LCS that played it, but that list was just very interesting to say the least. And then
Right.
yeah, and then I'll do the side deck really quickly because in an undefined format, it's like no one knows what the hell to decide. So I did 3 Meister, 3 Lancia, 2 Bell, 2 Crow, and 1 Aerial. So while I mentioned that control decks are this deck's hardest matchup, the scariest deck, in my opinion, right now is Dragon Link because they're the only deck that can Buster Lock you with DMZ Dragon. So it's like all these cards, well, besides Aerial, these are just hand traps that are good against Dragon Link in combination with Nibiru Gamma. Like these cards can literally just start their turn, or you can simplify the board enough to like super poly them.
Right.
And then you also have like Prosperity to dig, and then I also cited Tactics for combo. So the theory is like they activate like a savage, and you're just like, all right, Tactics, take your seals, combo off and kill you. 1 Duster or like the blowout card against backward X. We already make 3 Cyclone, and like you have Dragon Recursion, so it's like the 1 Duster is enough, and then the Aerial for Eldritch, and it's just like a good trap for Construct.
Yeah. I see it.
Bell and Crow because they're really good against Eldritch, because this can hit Sanguine, but it's also can hit Nadir against the Mirror, and like this can hit in the Mirror, it can hit Schism, it can hit Invocation, it can Alistair, and then Skullmeister and Lancia as well as Crow have overlap against Dino, which is another good deck this format. Like Skullmeister can hit the Babies in Grave, or Crow can hit Mist. This can also hit Mist.
Right.
And like this also just stops them from like UCTing you.
So I see in this list
yeah,
why the option to not choose to play or side deck the Dark Ruler no more.
Part of it is I have another deck right here. And my only copies are in here.
Okay.
So that's part of why I'm not signing it in here. Hypothetically, you can do Dark Ruler instead of Tactics. Like because Dark, they basically serve the same purpose, but the thing about Tactics is it's a card you could put in going first. So like Alistair is a magnet for interruption. Like if they have an Ash or a Gamma, they'll use it on Alistair. So if you basically draw Alistair or Meltdown with Tactics, it's always a live Tactics, assuming they have a hand trap. So it's like the one added bonus over Tactics, but
Mhm.
The genuine reason is because I was too lazy to take it out from my other deck and put them in here.
But you would say that Dark Ruler No More is the superior side deck card in this current format, correct?
Yeah, it's like the thing though is like this deck is like it's not a Zeus deck. I think while I agree the card's good, a lot of decks are building around it. Like the Dragon Link deck is also ending on the Buster Lock with DMZ, but they're also playing Tiding too. So it's like you can Dark Ruler, but the seals is still gonna float. You're still under the Buster Lock, and then you have to play around Tiding. Hypothetically, if you force a seals negate or a savage negate, you can tactic steal the monster, do something with it, and then like get out of the Buster Lock that way. And like this is another card that can like dig for hand traps. And it's a card you can put in going first or second. So it's like, while I do agree, there's instances where just dropping the Dark Ruler is just a game, but like a lot of the decks right now are playing around Dark Ruler. So it's like I think it's either hit or miss, but it depends what deck you're playing. I'll say that because
That's
if you're
fair.
playing a Zeus deck like this deck, this is Zodiac Eldritch. Preview for next month. But if you're playing like a Zoo deck, you can just drop Dark Ruler and then Zeus them, and it's like you set whatever and you're fine.
Mhm.
But like in a deck like this, you can draw Dark Ruler, but like your hand can still be like kind of underwhelming. But yeah, so it's this is like a really fun deck. If you like Shaddolls, but you feel like you need the Dogmatica cards, this is the list to show like you don't need it. It's like Sebastian said, like here's the cool thing. You don't need the prosperities, right? If you just don't have prosperity, you can play like the third Alistair, the third invocation, or like extra Shaddoll names,
Right.
Like you don't need to play this. I'm just playing it because I have them,